This conference will now be recorded.
I'm going to welcome everyone. This is the August 11th meeting of the Kingston Conservation Advisory Council. I'm going to now call the meeting to order at 6:03. We have the following council members present: Ed Abroad, Lorraine Farina, Emily Hauser, Kevin McAvoy, myself, Julie Noble, the chair, Sebastian Pilateri, and the Common Council Liaison, Michelle Hirsch. We don't have any guests on today, so we won't have any public comment, but are there any modifications to the agenda?
Just the ones I sent to Kevin. Oh no, sorry, that's not the agenda.
Sebastian, I know you requested an addition to the agenda. Do you want to add that on still?
I think Kevin answered it in a response to my email, but I don't know if anyone has any insight to the city, if the city has changed its mind in the past few months, but I think the issue's kind of been settled.
Actually, I wouldn't mind talking about it if people are okay talking about the Community Preservation Act, and we get added under new business. I make a motion to add it.
I'll second.
Okay. Any question? All in favor of adding Community Preservation Fund to the new business?
Yeah, bye.
Lorraine, you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Any other modifications? All right, the minutes, are there any changes besides Lorraine's suggestions and her notes? Okay, so I need a motion to accept the July 14th minutes as amended.
Motion to accept, Lorraine.
Can I have a second?
I second.
Emily? All in favor? Okay, fantastic, thank you. Unanimous. Thank you, Kevin, for putting those together, and Lorraine for your comments. So Lorraine, we'll go to you with Wood Smoke Air Quality Subcommittee.
Okay, let's see. Well, I wanted to ask you all first if anybody had any comments about the proposed mission statement for the Air Quality Subcommittee. I didn't hear from anybody except Sebastian, and I answered him, I believe. So I wondered if anybody else has any comments on that.
I'm not sure I'm looking at the most up-to-date version, because I think at the last meeting, Michelle had commented that under goal number 1, it would be more consistent to say clean air, but the one I'm looking at says good air. Was that the decision that was made?
Clean air, let's see. Sorry, I'm getting it up here. Clean air, protection of clean air while fostering, in the actual mission statement or in the goals?
Goal number.
Good air. Okay, well, yeah, I remember this discussion, and I think that what we talked about was I had chosen to use the word good there because it was a modifier for air quality, but if we just want to change it to assure that this development is sustainable and that clean air is preserved, we could do that. So if you want to weigh in one way or the other.
I think that's what we talked about the last time.
So I'll just take out air quality, put in clean air.
Yes.
Okay. And I know, Emily, you had said you had some ideas, but I didn't hear anything further, so I'm not sure if you do.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about it. So,
okay, so does it?
I don't know. Do you have a deadline?
Do
you have a deadline?
There's no deadline per se. You know, it'd be good to, I think, get this going, but if you have some ideas, please let me know.
Okay, I'll try to do it in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. And let's see what else. Next thing is, there was a question, or there was the issue of the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency that Emily had raised or discussed briefly in the report about the Environmental Management Council. And I had some concerns about the options, some of the options that they were considering. And after I visited the incineration plant in 2018 with the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency board members, I had put some ideas together, some concerns together for you all. So that was one of the problems. One of the concerns I had was the option of incineration and the pollution, high nitrous oxide emissions, and really a lack of true oversight that the private company that does the burning monitors its own emissions, and then the DEC just basically looks those over because there are no air quality monitors in the area. But the other option, one of the other options, was anaerobic digestion. And that, I know, is something that sounds palatable in some ways. In any case, it sounds better than biomass burning, incineration. The trouble with this is that ultimately, when waste is broken down, it emits methane. Well, methane is, I should say that solid waste emits methane when it's just decomposing. And it's because methane is calculated to be 25 times more potent a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide is. I'm sorry, I can't hear. Somebody saying something?
Nope.
No? Okay. Methane is calculated to be 25 times more potent a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide is. It's allowed to be called green technology. But burning it for fuel and releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere is a lesser evil. But when you're burning methane, it's not really a greenhouse gas reduction, quote unquote. So I did send some comments to the board through Joanne Myers regarding those things. And let's see, I wanted to just mention that the Albany, kind of apropos of our the mission statement that we're thinking to float here, today it was announced that Albany County
No,
had passed.
wait. You just jumped for another thing. So I just wanted to say that I'm not sure where the solid waste management plan exactly is.
Where it is?
But it's to be signed off what process it is in. And so I lost track of whether or not it's been accepted by the board of the agency and the county legislature. But right now, you seem to be tracking this, but it's not necessarily a CAC thing that we've decided to track. So I just wanted to know, did you send those comments to UCRA as an individual?
I did, to Joanne Myers, yes.
Who's Joanne Myers?
She's on the board of UCRA.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you just sent it to one board member, not to all the board members.
Right. She told me she would like to share the comments with them, but that was up to her.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think it's a good thing to track, but right now, I don't even know if there's any public hearings or anything.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she did say to me that, of course, they're hoping to encourage zero waste, and that's their first priority, or that's at least her first priority, so that's good news.
Yeah, but one of the things you should be aware of is that they actually didn't really put it into their management plan in any detail. So there's a committee trying to, work on the zero waste board part. And
Yeah,
you know,
I think she's
so
part of that committee. I think there are 2 people on that.
2 people from Accra.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that the Albany County Legislature passed a clean air ordinance just yesterday, local law B for 2020, to prohibit waste burning and to protect the clean air of Albany County. So that was something that I thought was worth noting. Next, I wanted to bring up, it looks like this is on the agenda though, the Green Amendment draft, and Emily did a lot of work on that, and I'll save that for that portion if we think that's the way to go for that portion of the meeting. The last thing is that there was the Healthy Ulster radio broadcast, I let you all know, was this weekend regarding wood smoke pollution, the health department. And the health educator there has told me that she's had a lot of really positive comments about it, about the idea that the municipality and the county are looking at ways to keep people healthy. She said there's a lot of praise for governmental authorities for trying to educate and protect their residents. And also that this national group, Doctors and Scientists Against Wood Smoke Pollution, has posted the interview on its website. So she was excited about that. She asked me if there might be a way to get, I have no idea if there is at this point, to get 25 or 50 brochures to disseminate. So I'm not sure, Julie, if that's doable right now. If it isn't, it'll wait.
You want me to make 50 brochures for you? I can do that.
Okay, wonderful, great. I'll talk to you about that. And basically, I think that is it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorraine. Any questions for Lorraine or comments? Okay, moving on to NRI and Open Space Project. So you may have seen it in the paper, but the council adopted a resolution accepting the open space plan as an amendment to the comprehensive plan, which is fantastic. And maybe Michelle can speak to this, but since then I've heard that there's question maybe whether or not there needs to be a local or a public hearing. I don't know what that's about because I would think there would need to be for a resolution. So I don't know.
I've not heard anything, but if you want me to check into it.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
So my understanding was that it was passed as a resolution, which is not a local law. And local laws need public hearings and resolutions don't. So I don't know that there isn't any precedence yet for adopting something as an amendment to the comp plan. So I was counting on the council or core council to be moving this through as accurately as possible. So I guess they will continue to figure out what has to happen if something different needs to happen. But as of now, there's a resolution that's passed adopting the open space plan.
Right. So my understanding is if there's a local law adopted, there needs to be a hearing and then before the mayor signs it. So.
Right.
I'll check.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so I did share that good news with the consultants. Everyone's very excited. So is the DEC. This is a long process. And the next is formal implementation. We are implementing as we speak around the city, doing many different things, but not tracking it yet or doing it formally. So I know it's been on my list and will continue to be on my list to pull people together for an implementation team. It's not, I haven't done it yet. So keep in your mind the things that continue to happen around the town that are directly attributable to our open space plan. And once we start tracking and getting that together, we'll see and set some goals for where we are going. That's all I have on the open space plan. Sopus Creek, I don't know if anyone knows anything about that's been going on. I was told that maybe last Friday or 2 Fridays ago, a couple folks went out to do some clearing. Sebastian, you're nodding your head. Do you know details about it?
I know, because Mary McNamara asked me to help out, and I went to go help out on Friday morning with, oh God, something with a J, the guy who's doing the forestry. He does Tawaha's trail maintenance, Josh or Jared.
Okay.
But so we went out at the Washington Ave Bridge and went to the log jam. I think it's the log jam that's the furthest downstream. And so I spent the morning with him, and we cleared up the first part of it. And then there was a second part that he was going to do in the afternoon, and I don't know what the status of that was.
What means did you use to clear it?
At the beginning, I was kind of like the kid who's handed like a pail to like play in the sand while like the adult has an actual shot. He had a chainsaw and I had like a little tiny like handsaw. But then we kind of realized that I could be winching logs out of the water as he was cutting them. So he had his equipment and I kind of learned how to use the winch a little bit. Winching logs out, chopping them up, winching logs out, chopping them up.
Were you winching them out to the land or were you floating them downstream?
They were floating them downstream. We would winch them up onto the land to get them out of the water. So it's just a lot easier for him to cut them. But they ended up going downstream and getting stuck in the second part of that same log jam. So I think at some point he opened it up so they would just keep going downstream. I think despite the kind of semi threatening letter or information from one of the representatives from the town of Ulster who kind of said like, if I was a boater and I struck one of those logs, like I would be looking to pursue legal action against the people responsible for it. But I think DEC said it was okay, and so I don't think that there was any weight to what they mentioned.
Sebastian, I was sort of brought into some of that discussion by Mary, and it had to do with a stakeholder who's also an elected official in the town of Ulster. Somebody is a property owner on Sopus Creek and is an elected official. And he was citing a section that I couldn't determine in the New York State navigation law. Mary went back to Brian Drum with that for an interpretation, and he didn't want to provide, he could provide an interpretation on the environmental conservation law, but not the navigation law. And that's where I left it off with Mary. I think she's in Maine right now. So.
Thanks, Kevin.
We heard nothing further on that. Oh, and the other thing was Kingston Land Trust is acting as the fiscal sponsor for Tahawas.
So what is the next action?
What? Do you know, Sebastian?
There was another logjam, I think, up in Hurley that they were planning on working on, and they were trying to organize another volunteer day to do that. One of the issues that they have is that they need someone there with a representative from the Tahawas Trail Company because he's operating a chainsaw. And so finding another volunteer to be present, I think, was an issue for the most recent one that we did 2 Fridays ago. And so I don't know what
Mhm.
they're waiting to start until they get another volunteer to help out with that.
So
Well, I know Greg Shaheen is away until next week, and Mary's away now, so it might be nothing until next week. I mean, I wouldn't get an update until Greg comes back, or Mary.
so
I think that the next step, sorry, I have a next step that I would like to suggest. Our Alderman Tollerman convened a meeting, and there were a lot of people that either attended that meeting or were on the email list. And I have not seen any kind of an official correspondence to those people to let them know that anything is happening. And it just seems like it's a courtesy for them to be told that this is happening, rather, and if there's some reason that it shouldn't be, then we don't have to talk about it on this recorded call. But I feel like, you know, getting a random text message from someone is not, I mean, I went to that meeting. We have other steps to go forward on. And it's, because people want to advertise it as a blue trail or something. So I was wondering if that had already happened, or or who should be making that next step.
I'm not aware of that happening. I was made aware of the removal like 24 hours in advance, and of the connection with the land trust like a week in advance maybe. And so also I'm not coordinating the effort. So I can talk to Don about it, but and pass on your suggestion. I don't know, Sebastian or Kevin, if you know of any other correspondence that's happened.
No, I had purposely sat this one out, and then Mary kind of brought me in, and I was happy to help out on Friday, but I'm not really involved with the communication or outreach around this at all.
I think the way Mary contacted me, I think, I don't know what day it was. I think July 27th and again July 30th. And during those couple of days, Greg was trying to get approval from the Kingston Land Trust Board for fiscal sponsorship. And that had to go to the executive committee of the land trust. And I left it off there. I left it in their hands. So.
Oh, I'd be happy to just reply all to that email that invited us to the first meeting and say, just want to let you know there's stuff happening. Talk to Mary McNamara and the Kingston Land Trust. But I just feel like, when we give our time and we're interested, and then we're not informed, I find it, it's something that I would just never, it just makes me not want to be a volunteer. It's not polite.
I hear what you're saying. I would be happy to reach out, as I said, to Don to talk to him about it and see if he's going to move forward. When I talked to him about it, I asked him if Amanda was involved or if Mary was involved and who was running the show, and that wasn't really very clear to me at the time either with his response. So, but I will reach out to him and pass this message on.
So, does he know that this was happening?
He's the one he called me to see if I could rally troops to come out, and I was not able to do that. But I was told about 24 hours in advance. So Don is aware.
And if all these, okay. And it seems like then the other towns that were, hasn't been one kind of central email that has made us aware of it, of this, this kind of loose group.
There hasn't been
I
that I know
agree.
of any communication, mass communication since that meeting. Okay, anything else on the Sophus Creek? Pedestrian street update, Sebastian?
Yeah, I had shared around some notes that were taken by a friend about the city's current policy regarding sidewalk dining. And I guess I was maybe what could help to inform this, maybe, I don't know if anyone has an update on what the city is planning on doing. I think they had said that they were going to start in July, but I don't know if they have, I guess I don't know what it looks like in terms of what the city's been allowing in Uptown with regards to outdoor dining.
Yeah, sidewalk dining and street and dining has been permitted. So there are multiple restaurants downtown that are doing it and uptown. They are able to do so on the sidewalk and or in a parking space in front of their location if they get permission through the city. And they still have to maintain a ADA compliance on the sidewalk, which some are doing and some are not. I don't know policy-wise really more than that, or if there was a deadline or like a stop date that was put on it. I can't remember that. I don't know if anyone else does. And frankly, I don't actually know the details of what they have to provide. I think that they probably have to provide a certificate of insurance, but I don't know that for sure. So does anyone know any more than that? I know that the fire department has been working with certain restaurants also that have erected tents on their properties to ensure compliance with fire code. So that's been happening as well. And I know there's a couple places that have set up in their parking lots or set up a tent outside. And again, I have frequented several restaurants where you eat outdoors, and so far the response seems to be great, but it's also summer. So I don't know what it will be like when it's not 90 degrees out and it's 20 degrees out. Or if this will continue beyond COVID or beyond the executive order or, you know, the emergency declaration that we have now. So Sebastian, were you making a recommendation for something in particular?
I think so. I think it's hard to do because I don't fully understand. I guess I don't know where to look to find what the city is what aspects of the current laws the city has waived or postponed to allow for dining right now, or if they have done that. And I guess until I know that, I wouldn't be able to make a real suggestion about what ought to be, maybe what we can consider adjusting. The one thing that I think the current way it's written is that there's an application fee and then a permit fee. And do we know if those two have been waived, or are those two still, we don't know. Yeah. You said the executive, is there a place I can go to get more information about it?
Yeah, if you reach out to Roy Versler, the mayor's secretary, he can send you, you can talk to him on the phone and he'll update you, or he can send you all the current policies. I think that everything is going through his office, and if it isn't, it's going through the clerk's office, but you could start there. I think he developed the policy in that office, so that would be a good place to start, and then evaluate what's currently happening. He would also know what was put out as the guidance or the policy, and also compared to what's actually happening. So then you could use that to understand where to go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else on that? So once you look at that and come back next time, we can talk about if we want to take some particular action and recommendations from the CAC. All right, green amendment resolution. Lorraine or Emily, who was working on that?
We had a lot of suggestions. We tried to incorporate. Sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I had sent you the last version, Emily, to make sure it was the latest version, but I didn't hear from you. So I'm assuming what I have here is the final version, and I can share it with you all. I was waiting to hear back from Emily, but there were minor edits here and just filling in the name of the municipality. So I can send that along to all of you. Do you have it in front of you, Emily?
And share my screen. I didn't realize you were looking for something because I thought it was done. And I thought, I don't know. So I'm not sure really.
Well, okay, so
So
I
at the last
will,
meeting,
Tell me where it is. I
the
can put
draft.
it up on my screen.
okay, let's see.
You want me to share?
I'll share it here with you.
Emily, do you want to share your screen?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I'm just bringing.
Okay.
I'm just
So I
bringing
just
it up.
sent that to you, Emily. Hopefully you got it.
I'm sure I thought I already had it, but it's not coming up. Oh, there it is. Too much going on. I got to take my camera down. All right, am I sharing my screen yet?
Yes.
All right, can you unshare me for a minute? Oh, there it is. I got it. I don't know. Let me find it.
Do you want me to unshare your screen?
I have it now. Am I still sharing?
Yes.
Okay, there it is. Let me make it bigger. I guess the idea behind this is to,
Emily, we're not seeing it.
oh,
Do you have two screens?
can you see it now? Sorry.
Yes. Yep. Yes, we can.
Okay. The idea would be to just pass this on to the Common Council. And there were just some things that I wasn't really certain about, so I took them out or changed them. And other than that, we just kind of copied what we were sent. So
Right.
if we can either talk, go ahead and move it forward or give you guys a chance to read it.
Okay. I think this is the final version that we worked on, Emily. So if you want, I'll share it with. Oh, you're sharing it now with everybody on your screen, but I could share it with them via a document.
Yeah. I'm
okay.
sorry. So, okay, so I can only show part of it at a time.
So, I mean, did you basically take the existing and just insert City of Kingston where it needed the municipality name? Or you said you took out a couple that were not relevant, a couple whereases that were not relevant?
Yes, there are a couple of pieces,
Yeah,
Emily.
I mean, this was written. like, for instance, I put in the title Hudson where they had said something about New York City because it was really written for the entire state. And so if I didn't feel like I tried to make it a little more specific to Kingston, or we tried to make it more. And I think did we add the one about the particles?
Yeah,
yeah.
we did. Hmm.
So we added the burning of biomass and the burning of wood.
Yes.
We put
Okay,
that
so
in.
if the next step is to submit this as a communication to the council, are we there? I mean, obviously, I'd like everyone to have a chance to read it. I don't know that reading in this format is really appropriate.
Right.
So how much more work do you think there is for you guys to do to get it to be for us to read it and sign off on it?
I don't think we have any changes. We did this a long time ago.
Lorraine?
Yeah, I think it's ready. I'm just sharing it with you all, the way we put it together and the minor changes that we made. So I just sent it to you all via email. So I think it's ready. We agreed, Emily and I agreed it was in condition to be shared.
Okay, so then are we at the point where we should all take a look at it? And if I don't hear anything within a week from anyone, I'm going to submit it as a communication to the council for next month's council?
I think so. What do you think, Emily?
Okay with me.
Okay.
Does anyone have any issues with that? Okay, so if I don't hear anything from folks before the 18th with any changes, Lorraine did just circulate that via Google Docs. If I don't hear any changes or wordsmithing, I would like everyone to read it over. I will read it over and put it on our letter, or send it with a letter, a communication to the council for the September meeting.
Okay.
That
Thank
work?
you.
All right, Emily, I'm gonna stop having you be the presenter.
Thank you.
I think I kicked her off. Bye, Emily. I did the wrong thing. And her screen is still sharing. That was not expected. Huh. Okay, well, hopefully Emily joins us back. All right, so moving on then to new business, the Community Preservation Act, Community Preservation Fund. As Sebastian brought it forward and Kevin gave a brief update, but for those of you who aren't up to speed on it, basically the Community Preservation Act and establishing a Community Preservation Fund is an action that communities can take that needs to go to public referendum in order to establish a fund. Sorry, Emily, I kicked you off. To establish a fund, basically, where when people purchase homes or properties, after a certain threshold, a portion of that is put into this fund, and the fund is then used for conservation. Up until now, last year, or at the beginning of this year, I guess, Scenic Hudson and the Trust for Public Land has been really spearheading, helping to move a few communities forward with this. And pre-COVID, both Kingston and New Paltz were on track to be doing it this year, to be going to public referendum in November, which we thought was going to align with the Environmental Bond Act and lots of people going out to the polls because of it being a presidential election year. And then COVID hit, and Actually, the mayor had assigned Emily Flynn, who runs our health and wellness department, to be the lead on this with assistance from myself. Once COVID hit, we evaluated for about a month or so, meeting weekly or bi-weekly with Scenic Hudson, who was walking us all through the process. And New Paltz decided to continue to move forward, and we decided to not continue to move forward this year. Then moving forward meant many different steps, which includes basically going out to the community to get a pulse on the community if we would even be interested in this. They would be interested in this, doing a survey, aligning with the real estate community, lots and lots and lots and lots of steps, and then a public campaign for the referendum. In the meantime, I didn't realize it, but the county went ahead and did it for on the whole county level. And that is what Sebastian put forward with the bill. I guess, is it a New York State? You're saying it's a New York State. Sebastian, can you speak to it?
Very little bit. I found out about it yesterday. I'm on Westchester, and there's so many cars that go by. Jen Metzger introduced an amendment to the New York State bill that basically allowed Ulster County, Putnam County, and Westchester County to be able to opt into this without a referendum vote. The way it's written now is, I think since Ulster approved it, the language is the governing body of any designated community, Ulster is considered a designated community, is authorized to establish by local law community preservation fund. So I don't know if that's referring to any community within Ulster County, the governing body, so the Common Council could approve this, or if it means Ulster County Legislature on the whole, or if just the Ulster County Legislature had to say, yes, communities can adopt this.
Okay, and I don't know the answer to that either. I haven't had a moment to follow up with Andy Bicking at Scenic Hudson or anything. I don't know, Kevin, if you have more information. It almost seems too simple compared to what the actual process was going to need to be, which is fantastic and really an efficient way to do things, in my opinion. So when Sebastian, what is your understanding of what, were you saying, do you know yet what we need to do or no?
I can read the law as it's been amended, and maybe collectively we can think through it, because I'm struggling a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so designated community. So any town or city within Ulster, the governing body of that town or city is authorized to establish by local law community preservation fund. So if that means the governing body of Kingston is the Common Council,
Yes.
then the Common Council can do this without a referendum vote. That's the way the law was written, as I understand it. I'm going to share it if I can in the chat, maybe. Do we have a chat? Yeah.
So that seems to bypass a really important part of the process, a really big part of the process, which is getting everyone to be on board with it. That's interesting to me.
I think it was done intentionally, and that's what the Metzger Amendment was specifically designed to do, was to make this process a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously there should still be some sort of like public outreach. I feel like this is I feel like this is really exciting because I do think it lines up well with maybe the open space plan and goals that we might have for that. And also perhaps trying to stem the tide of a little bit of sprawl and overdevelopment that might start to happen in these communities as people are demanding houses out of the city. But I don't know what it makes. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh no, you.
I was just going to say another important step that I didn't mention is beyond the referendum. One of the steps was a requirement to create a community preservation plan. And the community preservation plan really was like taking the open space plan and going one step further towards specificity, in my understanding. And so our plan was another alignment, besides all the ones I mentioned before, was the fact that our open space plan was aligning at the same time as well. And that was definitely our angle. So I guess there's a couple pieces of the puzzle here that I don't really understand. Like, do any of those things still need to happen? Or is it literally just now the council passes a local law and suddenly we have a community preservation fund, which seems extremely easy. And if that's the case, we should be doing that. Everyone should be doing that. I would be happy to follow up with Scenic Hudson or Jen Metzger in particular to understand what the steps need to be. If it's the amendment or if it's an adoption that needs to happen on a municipal level versus a county level.
So
You're muted, Emily.
I'm a bit confused. I'm not, so did this pass the Senate and the House? It did. Okay, so it passed that, and okay. And when did it pass?
I think back in December.
Oh no, because
December
it was
6,
dated,
2019.
the Senate announcement was dated in June.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Well, the reason, it doesn't matter except for that it seems like something like this would have been brought up at the Environmental Management Council, and it wasn't. And Amanda Laval comes to our meetings and she didn't mention it. So I was just wondering if it's passed, then that applies to all municipalities in Ulster County, and that's a big deal, right? So, so we all need to know the answer. And so I guess Jen Metzger and Scenic Hudson to figure it out for us, but.
or Neil Betez, I think. I think the town of New Paltz is the first community that's moving forward with this. He was quoted, I think, in one of the press releases. But
Well, that's the part I don't understand. Is this usurping their entire process? Like that's what I'm getting.
Right, they
Who's
might have
usurping?
already been doing it. Well, the town of New Paltz might have already been doing a Community Preservation Act, and now it just became easier, possibly.
It became easier for them, right? But I will say
For
that
them.
this press release that you circulated that says Metzger bill to extend the Hudson Valley Community Preservation Act to Ulster County passes state Senate says in the narrative here, the legislation requires that local governments interested in establishing such a fund first obtain the support of voters through public referendum. Just different than what you just said. So I think there's some clarification that we need to get. I agree with Emily that I feel like this should have been bigger news, considering like it's sort of a big lift to be passing the Community Preservation Act, but now the counties all can, and we haven't even really heard about it yet. So I'm happy to do some more research because I was one of the people that was spearheading this before we stopped. And I can bring it back to folks next month.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll probably follow up with Andy Bicking and Julia Farr at the Kingston Land Trust and the Trust for Public Land as well, because on their end, I think we thought there had to have been a referendum back at the March meeting that we had. I think that was the discussion. So these documents look like they predate that. So I think it needs to be clarified.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that date is June 14th, 2019. Okay.
Yeah, this is 2019, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I dropped the link to the text of the bill in the chat. So
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, so we'll do some more digging and follow up next month. Does that work? Okay, I wasn't aware of any other communications. Are there any announcements or events? Okay,
I don't know if you want me to make an announcement. Laws and Rules is having a hearing on the rezoning for 2 through 16
Right.
Montrepose Avenue on next Wednesday, August 19th at 5 p.m. before Laws and Rules meets.
okay.
So
Thank you.
it's go from RRR rezoned to possible RT.
What's RT?
Rondout.
I think Kristen Wilson confirmed us for August 18th at 1 p.m. for the next Weston and Sampson Rondout meeting. It got cut short a little bit the last go-round at the end of July, I think that was. The presentation ran over the allotted time and they had to chop off some of the Lighthouse presentations. So I think we're going to get more details on that.
Okay. Anything else? Any updates, Lorraine, from Complete Streets?
They will be meeting again in September. I'll attend, and I also was asked to be part of a subgroup looking at the potential project for Flatbush and Foxhole Avenues. So we had a meeting yesterday. It's an advisory group that's formed, but none of that information is public yet. So it's just at the beginning stages of gathering information from the community, but nothing else on Complete Streets.
Great, I'm glad that you're involved with the Foxhole Flatbush project. Keep us posted on your perspective of it.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
I was saying I'm glad that you're involved with the Flatbush Foxhole project, and I look forward to having you bring back your information from those meetings.
Oh, thanks. Yes, I will.
Kevin, anything from the planning board that we need to be aware of?
Well, they generally don't meet in August, but at the July meeting, they had considered the Montrepose project, which is now, I think Michelle just updated us on that. And we had, on that same project, we had Andrew Wright at the Historic Landmarks Preservation meeting on August 6th, and he made a presentation, and we did discuss some of the stormwater issues, which are outside of that board's scope, but might be within our scope at a later point, as well as the 1870 map that showed that water course in the spring. So Andrew was aware of it, and it'll be followed up whenever the planning board meets again, which should be in September. Oh, and by the way, we did not take a position on zoning because that's outside of the scope of the Landmarks Commission. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anything from public safety, Michelle?
Nothing of major consequence coming up. Some handicap signs. Last month, though, the removal of the 11 traffic signals did pass, and it passed the council.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Kevin, zoning? You're muted.
Oh, was I off?
Yes.
There's no update. Sorry.
Okay.
No, no update. Sorry.
Okay. Climate Smart, Betta, did you want to update us on how the meeting went?
Climate Smart meeting, the Ulster Climate Smart meeting or the Kingston Climate Smart meeting? Kingston Climate Smart meeting. How did the meeting go? You would probably be more on top of it than I, Julie, but we talked about, what did we talk about? The climate action plan. I probably should have notes. Kevin, help me out here. You have notes.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna pull the minutes up and we'll be good.
I'm sure I have notes, but it's like all a little bit lower right now.
Yeah, yeah, we're on the, okay, climate, July 22nd. Okay, yeah, we met on July 22nd.
Yeah, I just found my notes too. We'll see if I'm sure you covered everything.
There was a brief update on the climate action plan. I think we were awaiting final word from Novo on the contract. The Pollution Prevention Institute grant was discussed. Kingston and Phillipstown are working together on refrigerants and getting a city inventory on the Kingston end. And Sean will be looking at the city assets. And there were no CFA grants at this time because of the all the financial issues happening due to COVID. Julie ran us through a series of city sustainability projects. I don't know if you want me to run through that or I can do that quickly. Let's see, the LED lights, the decorative lights may start soon. There's a lot of retrofits need to be done. Organics, there was a meeting with DPW to go over logistics. The Parks and Rec Trust Fund was discussed with respect to work at the city parks, including Wi-Fi and Environment Park and the Rickle Knox Playground in Pankaki. Also discussed was funding for a professional skateboard park. We reviewed the status of the open space plan, which was covered here earlier. Community choice aggregation was discussed, including mention of New Paltz and Saugerties. Betta, if you want to update anybody on that, because I think you gave that presentation over there.
I did on CCA. I don't think I did about CCA, but I mean, the only thing I'll add, which was exciting, is that Kingston is moving forward with CCA sometime soon. So that was a very positive development. And yeah, I mean, I think you certainly covered all of the notes that I took, Kevin.
The last thing would be the Sustainable Hudson Valley Live Green Group Purchase Program. There was an update from that post meeting. John Wackman and Serena Pepper got in touch with me, sent me the slides. John sent me the slides. I sent them, I put them together as a PDF, sent the presentation over to the Kingston Land Trust. Some of the people over there were already involved in the purchase program, and they're looking at it with Serena as part of an affordable housing initiative. Serena she also serves on the Kingston Land Bank as well as the Clements-Moore Commission. So she's looking at it over there, and Shaniqua and Julia Farr are looking at it from the Land Trust. So we kind of put everybody together on the same page on the Green Group Purchase Program. And I think that covers it.
Great, thank you. Emily, anything from the Ulster County EMC?
Sure. Sorry. Okay, so we had a presentation from the town of Marbletown, Tom Conrad, on their trying to transition to 100% renewables. And, they've really looked at everything to try to get, move to electricity basically. And that presentation was given somewhere else too, which I think was recorded. I think he gave it on a DEC training. And then Melissa of Sustainable Hudson Valley also talked about other ways to implement renewable energy resources, which is similar to what Kevin just spoke about. And I do have the presentation from Tom Conrad if you want to see it. There is the lower Esopus there's a culvert assessment project with the Department of the Environment and CCE, but it doesn't include us. It includes Woodstock, the town of Kingston, and Saugerties. So that's just is really good. They're gonna, they're prioritizing replacements. There's also there's going to be an environmental impact statement for discharges from the Ashokan into the lower Esopus, and the Department of the Environment is going to hire a consultant to help review the EIS. Then another thing is that the county actually put out an RFP for community solar, with the idea that instead of all these people coming to the county and pitching their ideas, they would put a RFP out, and they hope that the municipalities can use that for community solar. I did not for the EMC, but not for the EMC, but for some other information is I'm on the Water Quality Coordinating Committee, and we met yesterday, and there's going to be some kind of meeting, probably a bit on October 19th, to follow up from the event that was held. I think it was held in February or March, but it was basically a watershed referral. So they tried to get everyone together. There's going to be some kind of follow up, and then also I heard that from the estuary program that there's two guidances coming out. One is for scenic vistas, and the other one is for municipalities, a guide for municipalities for I'm sorry, not scenic vistas, but I guess it's just scenery anyway. So how you can plan for the scenic, because it always seemed like we didn't really cover that too much in the open space, but that's coming up. So look for that in the fall.
Great, thank you. Tree Commission meeting was scheduled for today, and I attended, but they didn't actually get quorum, so they rescheduled the meeting for Thursday, so I will report it at the next CAC meeting. Are there any other reports or updates?
Yeah, I was on a thing with Brian Slack and Dennis Doyle, I think it was at 12 noon, the long range county transportation plan. And they covered a lot of the focus was on greenhouse gas emissions and electric vehicles. So that's something to check out. It's on the county website, and it's happening now. I mean, I think they're having right now actually another Zoom meeting thing, and I think there'll be one tomorrow, maybe Thursday. So if you're interested, it's happening.
Great.
Kevin, what's that called?
The Ulster County Long Range Transportation Plan. LRTP, I think is what it is.
Okay.
And
so
Brian Slack was the contact, or Rob Leibowitz.
Okay, thank you.
I can send you the link. I
Yeah,
have the link to it. And you can pick out, whatever time looks like it might work, or
Thank you.
Okay, will do.
Thanks, Kevin. Any other reports or updates? Okay, is everyone able to make the next meeting? So we'll have quorum. It will be Tuesday, September 8th.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
I think so.
Very good. Okay, so if there's no further business, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Emily, can I have a second?
Second it.
Betta? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, we are adjourned. It is 7:08. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope everyone is well and safe. I'm going to stop recording.